Welcome to Millennium Counseling Center's podcast, where each week we go in depth into all things mental health, addiction recovery, and being our healthiest and happiest self. Enjoy.
What about the man who's playing the role of that he learned from his father of I don't complain, man up, I do what needs to be done, and he's tired and he's sad and he's hurting? What helps him feel safe to be able to speak up outside of a role of like what a man is that he learned?
I think there's a rite of passage to feel like other men have felt. And I think there's a lot of power to be part of what other men have experienced, because I have not had it as hard as others. Like, other people have had it way, way harder than me. But I believe we are all connected through energy and multi-generational, whatever, all in all of the ways, right?
Yep.
And the fact that somebody 50 years ago went through something hard, 5,000, 15,000, whatever it is, years ago, like, and I get to go through something hard, I connect to other people's pain by being grateful that I get to experience that too. But what I also know is that, like, because I've experienced this, is that staying in the pain doesn't actually provide any, like, greater value. Like, going through something hard and feeling the pain, that there's value. Like, you work out hard, or you put in a hard day's work, or you train really hard, whatever it is. Like, if you put in hard work, or you're experiencing pain, like, there's gonna be some value associated with that.
Right.
But carrying it and holding on to it and it not going away, like, I've not found any value in that. And so if we are literally the left brain species, right? Where everything has to be logic based and everything has to make sense, like, make sense of why we would want to hold on to pain. There's I haven't found any real value or reason other than we don't have the training and the programming and the role models to learn just how to come home from work and pour a glass of water or sit down on the couch and say, "Hey, hon, you got 2 minutes before we deal with the kids?" And say, you know, "Today was harder than most days. And I just wanted you to know, like, I just feel a little bit extra fried."
Yeah.
And to feel the almost instant relief of it dripping away and a person looking at you getting it, even though they've had their own pain of whatever it is that their day was. And maybe it wasn't their as hard of a day for them, but, like, they look at you and they're like, "Hey, we're on the same team. We got this. Take an extra half an hour, go for a walk, whatever you need. I got your back." Like, then all of a sudden it's like so much of that struggle just evaporates.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. My first thought was it sounds all nice and beautiful because it is. And there's the man that's modeling his father,
Mhm.
or there's the man that's running the programming of this is what a man is. This is how a man shows up. A man doesn't show weakness. A man doesn't show emotions. And then this kind of how my brain jumps a little bit. And then I was like, okay, if I was that man, I would look at the generation of men older than me who've all modeled that behavior to see how they're doing. And the percentage of joyous 70, 80-year-old men that I see versus the percentage of non-speaking, angry, friction, tension-full 70 to 80-year-old men, it looks different.
Mhm.
And so if I'm modeling a behavior that I learned from my dad, and my dad is sitting in a chair in the corner, angry, drinking a bottle of scotch, that's the direction I'm going. And so maybe I can do something different. It's hard to see those patterns though,
Mhm.
especially if you view someone as a hero. So that would almost be my next question. How do you separate the childhood role of seeing their parent in a certain light, then growing into an adult and needing different skills or tools than you received from your parent?
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is above my pay grade, man. Like, you're better at asking questions than I am at answering them. You know how to see what matters. You know how to see how all this fits together. And one of the things that we talked about leading into hitting record was like men are being asked to show up in ways that we have never had before. And so we're we're being asked to be, you know, do more around the house, be more involved in the kid's life, raising of the kids, being more emotionally available, being more sensitive, being more vulnerable. Like these are traits that we are now like that are now popping up, right? And being like, women want this, women are requiring this. Like pay attention, men. Like you've been, you know, you haven't evolved to these benchmarks yet, right? And whether or not like we need to or should have already or whatever it is, like I mean this is how things are evolving. And so I think that there's a lot to say about like how we evolve as we look around and like, well, what's happening around us.
All right.
And my dad may not have been asked in 1975 to evolve because that's not what was happening in the culture at the time, right? But in the mid or the early 2000s, like 2008, 2010, like stuff started to start brewing around this, right? And now we're 10, 15, 20 years away from that and it's even bigger.
And it's funny in some ways it's like Darwinian. If you don't evolve, you're gonna die. If
Well,
you
and
don't.
you hear a lot about, and again, I don't watch TV, I don't watch the news, I don't, but like some information sneaks through of like what people are saying are like really kind of unhappy single men. And the idea is to blame the woman
Right.
or blame the female culture or blame politics that support whatever it is. Like I don't know that much or watch enough to really know, but it's like that's very interesting. Like if we're stagnant and we're blaming someone else for wanting us to evolve, how the fuck do we look?
So it's
It's
like,
like I have power slipping through my hands, and I'm gonna blame you because I'm losing power.
right, right. And I think you see that throughout society where it's people don't hold themselves accountable or people aren't looking to change. Like change, every single person on earth is changing every single day. It is the only constant in the universe is change.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Well,
my
bringing that
it's
up,
like,
what would you say has been the biggest change you've made as it pertains to relationships?
as it pertains to relationships.
And what was the catalyst for that?
Communication. I thought I was a great communicator. I thought I was brilliant. I thought I was amazing. And I was great at communicating what I thought somebody else could hear. Wasn't great at communicating what my actual needs were. And then I wasn't great at receiving what the response was. And so for example, partner I had at the time, we were having a lot of conflict. And like, okay, we're gonna see a couples therapist because we're just fighting all the time. This isn't great. And we're in there and I give my spiel and he sits there and nods and she gives her spiel and he sits there and nods. And then he tells me what she says in a way that I can understand. And he tells her what I said in a way she can understand. We wanted the same shit, but we were like talking past each other to like almost prove a point or like try to score or win. And we wanted a lot of the same things, but we weren't able to receive what the other person was saying. So the biggest skill, and it's a skill that I had to learn, was about listening to understand versus listening to respond. Most people, when somebody else is talking, they already start thinking about what they're going to say so they don't forget it, so they can keep the flow of the conversation. You actually don't even know what the other person is talking about because now you're already having a conversation in your head. What if you actually just listen to everything they had to say, take a few moments, process, and then respond? And that changed everything for me because I was probably missing 30-40% of every conversation, just trying to think of the next thing that was being said. And so my response was always based on incomplete information. Yes, there was conflict. There was always conflict because I was responding to half of the story and vice versa. Because she was doing the same thing, she was always responding to something different than what I was actually saying. And that's just a game changer. Actually, like, okay, I'm going to listen. And it's a skill. Like, if you don't practice it, you're not good at it. Everybody's a terrible listener until you practice becoming a better listener. And that was the biggest game changer for me. Listening to
And what was the feedback you got when that happened?
is that I understand that they feel heard, that they feel seen.
What happens then?
Possibility, in a very open way, possibility. Because my frustration comes from the fact that you don't understand me or you don't hear me or you're not listening to me. Their frustration comes from the fact that I don't hear them, I don't understand them, because we're both missing parts of the information. But when we allow ourselves to like actually give all the information, it's like, okay,
So what you're saying is if you come home from work and you're dog tired or you're had a bad day and you ask your partner to come and sit down and you say, "Hey, I had a really tough day." And they're like, "Yep, I heard you. Like, I appreciate you sharing that." And then they say, "I had this going on and this going on." And you said, "Oh, wow, I hear that. Thanks for sharing." What's possible then?
it's the understanding. So if I came in with a tired day and the other person has heard that I need a little tenderness and they've shared that they need a little tenderness, maybe we're both going to be a little more tender because we're both raw and neither of us can like carry the whole thing right now. So maybe this isn't the day that I'm going to bring up this big issue or this small issue. Maybe this isn't the time for that. Maybe this is the time for I'm going to go get a glass of water. Would you like a glass of water too? Because I heard that you had a bad day or I heard that you had a tough day. Maybe this goes, if you're white, what do you want to watch on TV? Because it sounds like you really want to watch something and I don't need to watch whatever I was going to watch. It's just that small consideration for my teammate, the person who I'm with is also struggling. It's just not solely my narrative. And as small of a thing as it is, and this is a big thing, I thought I didn't have an ego. And of course, I had a massive ego. That's what all people who have massive egos would say. Like, oh, yeah, I don't have an ego. I always thought in I didn't really understand, but I always thought in like a subject object relationship. Like, my world is happening, and then I'm interacting with people, and it's still my world, and everything revolves around me. Not in like a really selfish way, but just like a way. and giving somebody else agency and seeing that somebody else is also a whole person. When I was off at work, they just didn't power down. They were off having a complete life, doing stuff. And then when we came back together, my issues aren't the only one there. They've also had a life. They've also done things. They've also had experiences. And I won't tell you when I finally realized this, because it probably happened a lot later than it should have. But just the idea that someone else is having a full life experience that I don't know about. And it just creates a little space. It creates a little space around, this is what I'm doing. The world revolves around me. This is what I want. You need to hear me. I'm stressed out, so you need to change everything. I'm excited, so you need to change everything. It's like, well, something's going on with her too. Can I allow her space also? And it's just that, the understanding, giving each other space and opening the space.
You get what you give.